Every morning, just before sunrise, a soft knock echoed on the metal door of an old human outpost standing alone at the edge of a misty alien forest. Marcus lived there, a retired human engineer who had worked on colony systems long ago. The colony had failed years back, and everyone left, but Marcus stayed behind. Maybe because he had nowhere else to go. Maybe because he liked the silence. But silence was never truly silent anymore, not since that day 3 years ago. Because every morning someone came to his door. A small hand would knock 3 times, soft but clear. And when Marcus opened the door, a little alien girl stood there, staring at him with silver eyes that seemed too bright for the dull dawn. The first time it happened, Marcus thought she was lost. Her pale blue skin was covered in dirt and her small voice trembled when she spoke. She said one word, only one, "Daddy." Marcus froze. He had no children. He had never even seen this kind of alien child before. He told her she must be mistaken, that he wasn't her father, but she just tilted her head like she didn't understand. Then before he could step outside, she ran into the fog, vanishing between the twisted alien trees. He searched that morning and found no footprints. No trail, nothing. He thought maybe he had dreamed it. But the next morning at the same time, the same knock came again. 3 small taps, soft but sure. He opened the door, and there she was again. Same child, same eyes, same dirt on her face. She looked up and whispered, "Daddy." Marcus tried to ask her where she came from, who her family was, but she didn't answer. She just looked at him like she was waiting for something, then turned and ran into the mist. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and still every morning the same knock came, always 3 taps, always before sunrise, always the same child. And the strangest thing, she never changed. Her hair stayed the same length, her voice the same tone, her face never aged. Marcus even tried recording her using his base camera, but every time she appeared, the camera glitched, showing only static. He began keeping notes, dates, times, weather conditions, but the pattern made no sense. Sometimes it was clear sky, sometimes storm, yet she always came. He even tried waiting outside all night, hiding behind the rocks near the entrance, but she never showed until he went back inside and closed the door. Then, the knock would come again. As if she knew exactly when he sat down, Marcus started feeling uneasy. He began dreaming about her voice calling him from the fog, whispering his name, whispering "Daddy" again and again. 3 years passed, 3 years of the same morning, the same knock, the same little voice. Marcus tried to leave the outpost once, to report the strange event to the nearby colony, but halfway through the journey, his rover broke down without reason, power drained completely, systems unresponsive. When he walked back, tired and frustrated, she was standing there again, waiting at his door, and for the first time, Marcus thought maybe she didn't want him to leave. He tried to talk to her that morning. He crouched down and said gently, "Who are you, little one?" She stared at him with those glowing eyes and said softly, "You forgot me, Daddy." Marcus's heart tightened. He asked, "Forgot you? How could I forget you? I don't even know who you are." She blinked slowly and whispered, "You will remember." Before vanishing again into the mist, her small figure faded like smoke, and the fog swallowed her whole that day. Marcus couldn't focus on his work. He walked around the outpost like a man haunted. He checked every system, oxygen, gravity, perimeter sensors. Everything normal except one thing. The door log showed that the airlock opened and closed, but no biological reading was detected. According to the data, no one had ever been there, yet the dirt from her small feet still marked the metal floor. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He sat by the window, staring at the fog glowing faintly blue under the alien moon. Then far in the distance, he saw movement, something tall, dark, and motionless standing between the trees. It didn't move like a creature. It just stood there watching. Marcus felt a cold shiver crawl up his neck. Was it watching him? Or was it waiting? The next morning, the knock came again. Marcus hesitated before opening the door. 3 years of the same sound, but this time, something felt wrong. The air was colder, thicker, almost heavy. He slowly unlocked the door, and there she was again. The same girl, same face, but this time she wasn't alone. A shadow stood behind her in the fog, tall and still, its eyes faintly glowing red. The girl looked scared for the first time. Clutching her hands together, she whispered, "Daddy, please open." Marcus froze, heart pounding. When he looked closer, he saw the shadow move closer, silent and huge. And then the door sensors started flashing red. Unknown energy detected. The girl looked up, tears in her eyes, and whispered one more time, "Please, Daddy." Before they come, Marcus slammed the door shut, his hands shaking. Outside, the knocking didn't stop. It grew louder, desperate, and through the metal wall. He thought he heard something else breathing. Something that wasn't human, something that knew his name. Marcus sat in silence, his heart still pounding from the night before. The sound of knocking had stopped hours ago, but its echo still lived in his mind. The fog outside the window glowed faintly blue, swirling like slow-moving smoke. He hadn't slept at all. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the little girl's face, those silver eyes filled with fear, and the tall shadow behind her. He wanted to believe it was a dream, but the dirt footprints near his door said otherwise. As the sun began to rise, Marcus walked to the door again. He hesitated, then opened it, half expecting the girl to be standing there. But there was no one this time, only mist and the whisper of cold wind. He stepped outside carefully, scanning the ground. The dirt still showed small footprints, but new ones too. Larger, deeper, heavy, they led into the forest. Straight toward the direction of the fog's thickest part, Marcus followed slowly, rifle in hand, his boots sinking into the wet earth. The trees around him were tall and glowing faintly green from their sap. The mist curled between them like living ghosts. He could feel something watching him. But every time he turned, there was only emptiness. Then, faintly, he heard her voice again, soft and trembling. "Daddy." The sound came from deeper in the forest. Marcus followed, careful, alert. He walked for minutes that felt like hours. Then he saw something, a faint shape moving between the trees. Small, glowing, it was her. The alien girl stood there, her tiny figure half hidden by fog. "Why are you here?" Marcus asked softly, his voice shaking. The girl looked up, her eyes brighter now, almost like small stars. "They are waking," she whispered, "and they are angry." "Who?" Marcus asked quickly. She didn't answer. Her small hand lifted and pointed behind him. Marcus turned and froze. The shadow he saw last night was there again, closer now, standing only a few meters away. It had no clear face, only two dim red lights where eyes should be. Its form was tall, smooth, almost like it was made of liquid metal and smoke. Marcus raised his weapon, but before he could aim, the girl cried, "No! Don't!" The shadow didn't move forward, it only watched. Then the ground under Marcus's feet vibrated lightly. His scanner beeped, massive energy reading, unknown type. Suddenly, the shadow sank back into the mist, disappearing like steam. The girl looked weak, falling to her knees. Marcus rushed to her, catching her before she hit the ground. Her skin was cold, too cold, like ice. "Who are you?" Marcus whispered, her lips moved. "Ara." The name felt familiar, but Marcus couldn't remember why. He lifted her carefully and carried her back to the outpost. Inside, he placed her on a blanket near the heater. Her breathing was faint, her form flickering like a fading hologram. Marcus checked his scanners again. Her body had no stable cell reading. Half organic, half energy, impossible by human science. Hours passed, and she finally opened her eyes again. "Daddy," she said weakly. Marcus leaned closer. "Why do you call me that?" She looked at him with soft sadness. "Because you are." He froze, not understanding. "No, I'm not. I never had a child. Not like you." Her small hands trembled. "You built me. You made me remember you." Her words hit him like thunder. "What are you talking about?" Marcus asked, but before she could answer, the base alarm beeped. Unknown signal, approaching from the north. Marcus turned to the window far in the mist. He saw faint red lights moving closer, slow and silent. "Are those the ones from last night?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "They are searching for me. They know I'm here." Marcus grabbed his communicator, trying to send a distress signal, but the screen flickered, then died completely. Every system, comms, radar, lights, began shutting down one by one. The outpost went dark except for the small glow of her eyes, she whispered. "They erased me once. Daddy, they will erase you too if you help me." Marcus felt a chill in his chest. "Erase you? Who are they?" "The ones who built the Echo," she said. "The ones who ended the war." The floor shook. The door sensors flashed red. Movement detected. Marcus pulled her behind him, weapon ready. Then came the sound. Footsteps, heavy, metallic, slow. A deep voice echoed through the walls. Distorted and cold, subject Orion located. Begin containment, the girl screamed softly. No, don't let them take me again. Marcus fired at the door, the blast lighting up the dark hall. The door dented, sparks flying. Outside, red eyes glowed brighter, dozens of them, moving closer. Surrounding the outpost, Marcus turned to her. Eliara, if that's your name, what do they want? Her eyes filled with tears that shimmered like blue light. They want me, 'cause I remember what they did. Who did what? Marcus demanded, but she only whispered, You will remember soon. Then she pressed her small hand against his chest. For a brief moment he saw flashes, images of labs, lights, voices calling Project Orion, his younger self working beside tall alien scientists. A small child in a glass chamber, her face, her smile, Eliara. Then everything went white. When Marcus opened his eyes, the power had returned. The girl was gone again, and written on the floor in glowing blue letters were 3 words. They are coming. The outpost was silent again, but Marcus could feel something wrong in the air. He sat near the flickering console, eyes fixed on the glowing words still faintly burning on the floor. They are coming. Those 3 words played again and again in his mind. Outside, the fog had thickened, hiding the world beyond his window. He could not see the forest anymore, only the slow blue mist swirling like waves. He rubbed his eyes and leaned back, breathing hard. Who was that girl, really? And what did she mean when she said, You built me? Marcus wasn't sure if she was real anymore, or just a ghost born from his tired mind, but deep inside, something told him she was connected to his past, to something he once worked on, something he had tried hard to forget. He opened the old computer logs again. Most files were broken, corrupted, or marked classified. He typed in override commands, trying to break through the security walls after hours of effort. The system flickered and unlocked one hidden folder. It was old, marked with his name. Project Orion, Child, Experimental Unit. His fingers froze on the keyboard. He had heard of this project long ago during the Human-Velra War, but he had never known he was part of it. Or maybe he had simply forgotten. He clicked the file. The screen turned black for a few seconds, then lines of text appeared. Objective: to create a hybrid life form capable of surviving both human and alien environments. Test subject code E03. Name: Eliara. Status: deceased. Neural pattern lost during containment breach. Marcus's breath caught Eliara, the same name the girl had spoken. His hand trembled as he scrolled further down. He found logs of his own reports, his writing, his words, his signature. Each line brought back blurred flashes, the lab lights, her smile, her laughter echoing down white halls. He had helped create her, not just as a project, but as a child. Her DNA carried a small piece of his own neural data, his memory pattern. He had given her life, and when the war ended, she was erased. Marcus sat in silence for a long time. The truth felt heavy in his chest. He whispered softly, So, you are my creation. But his heart didn't believe that word. She was more than that. She was alive. She remembered him. And she kept coming back. Every morning for 3 years. Why now? Why again? A sudden static sound filled the air. The console screen flashed red. Incoming transmission. Unknown source. Marcus pressed the receiver, and a distorted voice broke through. Dr. Marcus Hale, you should not have opened the file. He froze. No one had called him doctor in years. The voice continued. Project Orion was shut down for a reason. The child was not meant to exist. Marcus clenched his jaw. Who are you? No answer. Just static and another line of code appearing on his screen. Erase everything before they find you. The screen went black again. Marcus stood up quickly and went to the window. Far beyond the fog, faint red lights moved again, like eyes floating in the dark. He whispered to himself, They're coming for her. And for me. Then he heard a sound. The door alarm beeped softly. A faint knock followed, 3 taps, gentle but clear. Marcus opened the door slowly. She was there again, standing in the mist, looking up at him with those glowing silver eyes. But something was different. She looked scared, shaking. Her body flickered, small blue sparks running across her skin. Eliara, Marcus said softly, I know who you are. Her eyes filled with tears that shone like stars. Then you remember? Marcus nodded weakly, some of it. Enough. She reached out, touching his hand. and he felt a shock, a rush of images flooding his mind. He saw the day the lab exploded. He saw himself carrying her out of the fire. He saw the command officer shouting, "Delete her! She's unstable!" He remembered running with her through smoke, and her small voice crying, "Daddy, I'm scared," he had promised her. "I'll come back for you." But he never did. He had been captured, his memory wiped, and sent to this quiet outpost mired far from everything. Marcus fell to his knees. His hands covered his face as tears filled his eyes. "I left you there. I forgot you," he whispered. Eliara knelt beside him, her small fingers touching his shoulder. "You didn't forget, Daddy. They made you forget." Her voice was soft, sad, and full of warmth. "They said you were dangerous because you loved me too much," she added quietly. Marcus looked up at her. "What do they want now?" Her expression darkened. "They want to erase me again. But if they do, you'll disappear too." "Why?" Marcus asked. "Because we are one," she said simply, her voice trembling. "You gave me your memories, your heart. I am part of you now." A deep rumble shook the ground beneath them. The warning lights on the walls began flashing red. Eliara turned toward the door, fear in her eyes. "They found us." Marcus stood, gripping his plasma rifle. Outside, red lights glowed brighter through the mist, not one, but many dozens of shapes were moving closer. The same cold voice from before echoed through the radio again. "Containment protocol initiated. Terminate both subjects." Marcus looked down at the small alien girl beside him. Her eyes reflected the red glow of the coming storm. He whispered, "Not this time." He tightened his grip on the rifle, and for the first time in 3 years, the door didn't stay closed. He opened it wide. The fog roared to life, and the night itself seemed to awaken. The morning sky was gray when the ships appeared. Marcus watched from the window as 3 black transport crafts descended through the fog, their engines humming low like thunder trapped in clouds. The outpost sensors blinked red, marking them as human vessels. Not alien, but Marcus knew better. He remembered the voice from the transmission, cold, sharp, and full of control. They were not coming to help, they were coming to erase. The ships landed silently near the edge of the forest. Kicking up dust and mist, 4 armored figures stepped out, tall and faceless under black helmets. Each carried plasma rifles marked with the insignia of the Colonial Recovery Force, the same unit that had once guarded the Orion Project before it was destroyed. Marcus felt his chest tighten. He had seen those uniforms before. They were not soldiers. They were cleaners meant to remove mistakes. He turned to Eliara, who was standing near the console, her small hands clutching his old ID tag. Her glowing eyes looked frightened. "They're here for us," she whispered. Marcus nodded. "Stay behind me. Don't say a word." He stepped toward the door as the knock came. But it wasn't her soft 3 taps this time. It was heavy, metallic, demanding. Marcus opened it halfway. Keeping his weapon hidden behind the doorframe, a tall soldier spoke through his helmet. Voice flat and robotic. "Dr. Marcus Hale, under command of the Terran High Council, you are to surrender all data related to Project Orion immediately." Marcus stayed silent. The soldier continued, "We have detected illegal neural energy signatures coming from this site. Do not resist. It is for your safety." Marcus frowned. "My safety? Or your secret?" The soldier tilted his head slightly. "You were once a valuable asset, Doctor. Don't make yourself a liability." The others spread out around the outpost, checking scanners and devices. One of them stopped near the wall and frowned. "Sir, strange readings here. It's unstable." Before Marcus could speak, a soft voice echoed behind him. "Daddy, don't let them take me." The soldiers froze. The voice wasn't coming from any radio. It came from inside the room. The leader's helmet turned sharply. "Who else is in here?" Marcus stepped forward, blocking their view. "No one." But then Eliara appeared, stepping from behind the console, her small figure glowing faintly blue in the dim light. The soldiers raised their weapons instantly. "Unknown entity detected." "Step away, sir." Eliara looked terrified, her voice trembling. "They can't see me, Daddy." They erased their eyes. Marcus turned to her, confused, but then saw the soldiers' scanners flashing errors. They weren't reading her at all. Their suits couldn't register her form. To them, she was invisible. Just a faint distortion, the leader shouted. "Containment protocol now." The soldiers fired. Bright energy bursts flew across the room. Marcus shielded Eliara with his body. The blasts struck the wall. Burning deep holes into the metal, smoke filled the air, alarms blared. Marcus turned and fired back, his plasma rifle flashing blue. One soldier's armor cracked under the hit, sparks flying. Another tried to rush forward but suddenly stopped mid-step. His body froze, then slowly lifted off the ground. Eliara's eyes glowed brighter. She was controlling him. Her small hands shook as she whispered, "Stop hurting him." The floating soldier's weapon fell to the floor. The others hesitated, their scanners still unable to lock onto her. Marcus looked at her in awe and fear. "Eliara, what are you doing?" Her voice was soft, sad. "They were programmed to kill what they can't understand. I'm showing them understanding." The soldier dropped gently to the floor, unconscious but alive for a moment. Silence filled the room. Then the leader's radio cracked. A new voice came through, cold. Sharp, emotionless Unit Alpha authorization revoked. Full erasure command granted. Target both entities. The leader raised his rifle again, but before he could fire, the lights went out. Total darkness. Only the glow from Eliara's eyes remained in that light. Marcus saw her tears, glowing blue as they fell, burning small marks into the floor. She whispered, "They don't see the truth." "Daddy, but you will." The air around them shimmered. Images flashed, memories not from now but from the past. The lab again, the explosion. The people running, the commanders shouting. He saw himself holding a small child in her and promising, "You will live, no matter what it costs." Then he saw something new. He wasn't just saving her, he was uploading part of his mind into her. She wasn't just built from his DNA, she was him, his memories, his emotions, his love, all encoded in light. That's why she kept coming back. She wasn't haunting him. She was calling him home when the vision ended. The room flickered back to life. Half the soldiers were gone, vanished like smoke. Their suits melted into ash. Eliara looked weak, falling to her knees. "I can't hold it much longer." Marcus caught her before she fell completely. Her skin flickered like a fading projection. "Stay with me," he said, his voice cracking. She smiled faintly. "Always." Then a new sound filled the air. Engines. Louder this time through the broken windows. Marcus saw more ships descending from the clouds. Dozens of them, all marked with the same black insignia. They weren't here to question anymore. They were here to end everything. Marcus looked down at her. She opened her glowing eyes one last time and whispered, "Run, Daddy." But Marcus shook his head. No, not this time. He stood, gripping his rifle tight, staring at the sky full of descending ships. The fog trembled with the sound of war, and somewhere deep inside him, something awakened, a part of him long buried. The part that had once built worlds, and now, it was ready to fight for one small forgotten child. The ground trembled beneath Marcus's boots as engines roared above the fog. The sky was filled with dark ships, dozens of them, circling like vultures ready to strike. The old outpost's alarm screamed red, warning of incoming hostiles. Marcus stood beside the shattered window, gripping his plasma rifle tight. Eliara lay weak on the floor behind him, her body flickering like unstable light, her silver eyes dim but still alive. He turned to her, voice rough but calm. "They're coming." She nodded slowly. "They never stop coming." Her voice was soft, broken, almost fading with every word. Marcus crouched beside her and said, "You said we're one, you and me, then we'll fight as one." She smiled faintly, her hand trembling as she touched the cold floor. "Then you must wake it, Daddy," she whispered. "The outpost knows you." Marcus frowned. "What do you mean, wake it?" Before she could answer, a new voice echoed through the broken comms. A mechanical tone, monotone but familiar. "Authorization detected, Dr. Marcus Hale. Orion Command System. Dormant defense program detected. Initiate protocol?" Marcus stared at the console, then at her. Her faint smile deepened. "You left more behind than you remember." He rushed to the control desk, his hands moving over dusty screens and broken buttons. The system sparked, protesting after years of silence. The base lights flickered, screens turned blue, and a hidden panel opened on the floor. A cold wind rose from beneath, followed by a deep rumble. Metal shifted, gears turned, then the ground outside split open, revealing massive old cannons buried beneath the soil. Forgotten weapons from the war, built by humans and programmed to protect their creators. Marcus had helped design them decades ago. He never thought they would still respond. But the base recognized his DNA, his command voice, his heartbeat. Orion Defense System online, the AI voice said. Threat detected, multiple armed vessels. Defense limit exceeded. Recommend evacuation. Marcus smirked. No evacuation, he typed quickly, overriding the command. Manual defense, priority level 1, outside. The turrets began to rise from the mist, their barrels glowing with blue plasma. The ships above slowed, spreading into formation. The lead ship broadcasted a warning. Unauthorized energy detected. Cease activity or be neutralized. Marcus didn't answer. He pressed the activation key and the sky exploded. The first wave of plasma fire roared upward. Striking 2 ships directly, both burst into light. Falling in burning pieces, the others scattered. But the outpost's guns kept firing. Each shot echoed like thunder through the alien forest. Shaking the ground, Marcus shouted over the noise. You hear that, Iliara? They're not the only ones who can erase things. Iliara tried to stand, weak but smiling. Her energy flickered brighter, and a faint aura began to surround her. Daddy? She said softly. I can help them see. Marcus turned to her, confused. See what? The truth, she whispered. She stepped forward, her glowing hand touching the console. The entire base pulsed with blue light. Then through the fog, every ship suddenly stopped firing. Marcus watched in disbelief. Their guns froze midair. Their engines hummed in confusion inside their ships. He could see faces, soldiers suddenly staring blankly. Iliara's voice echoed through the comms. Look at what you were made to forget. Her light spread across the sky, touching every ship, every drone. Images filled their minds, memories of the old war. The day humans and aliens worked side by side, building hope, not destruction. And then the betrayal, when the High Command ordered all hybrids destroyed, calling them errors. The soldiers trembled. Seeing what they had done, some began to remove their helmets. Others dropped their weapons. The fleet's formation broke apart, but not everyone stopped. One ship, larger than the rest, stayed still above them. Its hull marked with black letters, Directorate Command. The same shadow group that had erased Marcus's memory. From it, a cold voice filled the comms again. Subject Orion 03 and Dr. Hale have breached containment. All units full termination. The peaceful glow faded, replaced by blinding red beams raining down from the command ship. The ground shook violently as explosions hit the forest and outer walls. Iliara fell back, her light dimming again. Marcus grabbed her and pulled her behind a damaged wall. He yelled over the roar, "We can't hold much longer." She looked up weakly. "You can." Her hand pressed against his chest again, and for a brief moment, their hearts pulsed in the same rhythm. Her energy flowed into him. Blue light crawling across his arms, he gasped, feeling power burn through his veins. "What are you doing?" he asked. Her voice was soft. "Sharing what you gave me." Marcus rose slowly, his body glowing faintly now, eyes reflecting the same blue light as hers. He aimed his rifle at the sky. But the rifle was no longer just metal. It pulsed with energy alive inside it. He fired once, and the shot tore through the air like lightning. It hit the command ship directly, piercing its shield. The explosion lit up the whole horizon. Even the fog seemed to burn with blue fire. When the blast faded, the forest was silent again. Half the ships had fallen. Others retreated into the sky. The outpost stood smoking but alive. Marcus fell to one knee, exhausted, his body still glowing faintly. Iliara crawled closer, placing her small hand on his. "You woke it, Daddy," she whispered. Smiling through tears, he looked at her, tired but alive. "No, we did." Outside, in the distance, one last ship hovered silently. Watching, then it turned away, vanishing into the clouds. Marcus stared at the empty sky. Knowing this was not over, he looked down at Iliara. "They'll come again," she nodded softly. "Then we'll be ready." The smoke still floated in the air like dark ghosts when the sky grew quiet again. The forest around the outpost glowed dimly blue, burned by plasma fire and falling ship debris. Marcus stood in the silence, his heart pounding hard. His body still faintly glowing from the strange power Iliara had shared with him. He looked at his hands. Veins of light still ran beneath his skin like liquid stars. He wasn't sure if he was still human anymore. But he knew one thing for sure. He was no longer just Marcus Hale. The forgotten engineer, something inside him had awakened. Something ancient, something linked to her. Eliara sat beside a broken console, her breathing soft, her glow weaker now. Her silver eyes flickered like dying lights. Marcus knelt beside her and placed a hand on her shoulder. "You need rest," he said softly. She shook her head. "No rest for echoes." Her small voice trembled like wind through glass. Marcus frowned. "You keep calling yourself an echo. What does that mean?" Eliara looked up at him, her eyes wet with light. "It means I'm not alive the way you think, Daddy. I'm what's left of you." Her words hit him like cold steel. He blinked, not understanding. "Of me? No, Eliara, you're real. I can touch you." She smiled sadly. "You can touch light too, for a moment before it fades." She touched his chest with her trembling hand. "You built me long ago when the war was ending, when humans and Velra were breaking apart." Marcus stayed still, watching her eyes as she spoke. "You wanted peace, but both sides wanted weapons. So you created something different, something alive that carried human heart and alien spirit together. That was me." Her voice softened. "But when they found out what you did, they called me a mistake." Marcus closed his eyes, memories flickering behind them. Scientists shouting alarms, the explosion, the smell of smoke and metal. He saw himself running through the burning corridor with a small child in his arms. He remembered her crying, "Daddy, don't let them hurt me." And then the blast of light, the shockwave, the silence after. When he woke up later, he was in a medical pod. His memory erased, his body repaired, and she was gone. Marcus opened his eyes again, his voice low. "They made me forget you." Eliara nodded slowly. "They had to. Because if you remembered, I'd come back." He frowned. "Come back?" Her silver eyes brightened for a moment. "I exist because of your mind, Daddy. You created my body from energy and code, but you gave me life with your memories, your emotions. When they erased your mind, I faded. But when your guilt and dreams returned, I started to wake again." Her voice grew faint. "That's why I came to your door every morning. Because you started remembering me, even if you didn't know." Marcus sat back, stunned. All those years of knocking, all those sleepless mornings. It wasn't a ghost haunting him. It was a fragment of his own heart calling itself home. He whispered, "Then if you fade, I fade too, don't I?" She looked down, her voice barely a breath. "Yes, because we are two sides of one soul." A long silence filled the outpost. Outside, soft rain began to fall, washing away the ash from the battle. Marcus reached for the small pendant around her neck, his old ID chip. He opened it and a small hologram flickered alive. A younger version of him appeared, smiling tiredly. "If you're seeing this," Marcus, the recording said, "it means Orion survived. She's not a weapon. She's a mirror. Protect her, because when she disappears, so will you." The hologram faded. Eliara leaned against his arm, her small hand clutching his sleeve. "Now you remember," she whispered. "Now you know why they fear us." Marcus looked out the broken window at the burning forest. "They fear love. They fear what we became." Before he could say more, the comms crackled again. The same cold voice returned, but weaker now. "Dr. Hale, termination incomplete. Final command, destroy the memory core." Marcus turned to Eliara, who looked up at him with sad eyes. "They think if they destroy the core, I'll disappear forever," she said. "Then we can't let them touch it," Marcus replied. She shook her head softly. "They already did." The ground shook again, a deep rumble beneath the outpost floor. Eliara's eyes widened, glowing brighter than before. "They activated the purge," she whispered. "They'll erase both of us." Marcus stood quickly, pulling her up with him. "Tell me how to stop it." She pointed weakly toward the lower chamber beneath the outpost. "The reactor room, the memory core is there. But it's locked with your voice." Without wasting a second, Marcus carried her down the stairs. The deeper they went, the hotter the air became. Lights flickered red across the steel walls. In the center of the chamber stood a massive glass cylinder filled with swirling blue light. The core. Eliara's reflection glowed faintly on its surface. "Say your name," she whispered. "It's the key." Marcus stepped forward and shouted, "Dr. Marcus Hale, override!" The system beeped, unlocking a small panel. Inside it, a button glowed red. Purge sequence active. He slammed his hand against it, canceling the code. The alarm silenced. The light turned blue again. He exhaled heavily, dropping to one knee. Eliara smiled faintly. "You stopped them, Daddy." But before she could finish, her glow flickered again. He caught her as she fell, holding her close. "Stay with me," he whispered. She looked up, her light dimming. "Even if I fade, I'll still be inside you." Then she smiled softly and whispered, "Always." Marcus felt his chest ache as she dissolved into light. The blue energy rose into the air surrounding him, wrapping around his body like a gentle storm. He closed his eyes as her voice echoed faintly in his mind. "Don't forget me again. Daddy." When he opened his eyes, the room was empty. The reactor hummed softly, calm again. The only sound was the rain falling above. He whispered to the silence, "Never again." And as he stood there, the console flickered one last time with her voice. "Good morning, Daddy." The storm passed, leaving the alien forest silent once again. Only soft rain fell on the metal roof of the outpost. Inside, Marcus sat on the cold floor of the reactor room, his eyes staring at the faint blue glow where Eliara had vanished. The air still carried the warmth of her light, like a fading heartbeat that refused to die. He touched the ground where she'd stood last, his voice quiet. "You kept your promise." Hours passed, maybe days. He couldn't tell anymore. Time moved differently now, slower, heavier. Sometimes when he closed his eyes, he could still hear her voice whispering inside his mind. "Don't forget me again, Daddy." Those words echoed through the walls, through his chest, through every silent moment. He tried to leave the outpost once, but the forest seemed to close around it. Every path looked the same, every trail returned him home. It was as if the world itself didn't want him to leave. So he stayed, repairing what little remained of the systems, feeding the generators, tending to the machines, and waiting for something he didn't understand but felt deep inside was coming. Then one morning the rain stopped, the fog returned, thicker than before, glowing faint blue under the rising sun. Marcus was sitting at his desk, staring at the screen showing only static, and then he heard it. 3 soft knocks on the metal door. He froze, his heart skipped, that sound. After everything, after the light, after her goodbye, it was the same sound that had haunted him for 3 years. 3 gentle taps. He stood slowly, afraid to move. Maybe it was only wind. Maybe his mind was breaking again. But then he heard her voice, soft, clear, and impossibly real. "Daddy?" Marcus's hands trembled as he reached for the door. He hesitated, remembering the last time he'd heard that word. But his heart refused to wait. He pulled the door open, and there she was, standing in the silver fog. Eliara. She looked the same as always, small, beautiful, her eyes shining like stars. But this time there was something different in her gaze. A calmness, a peace, as if she wasn't lost anymore. Marcus's breath caught. He whispered, "Eliara, I thought you were gone." She smiled softly. "I was never gone." "Daddy, you just couldn't see me." She stepped closer, her bare feet leaving soft glowing footprints on the wet ground. He wanted to hug her, but he was afraid she'd vanish again. So he stood still, eyes filling with tears. Her voice was gentle. "You stopped the purge. You saved us both." He nodded slowly. "Then why are you here again?" Her smile faded a little. "Because there's still one more thing you must do." Marcus frowned. "What do you mean?" She looked up toward the gray sky. "The Orion system wasn't only built to destroy," she said. "It was built to remember. Every hybrid, every soul they erased, they're still sleeping inside the data core." She turned her glowing eyes back to him. "You can wake them." Marcus blinked, confused. "Wake them? How?" "You already did it once, with me," she said, stepping closer. "You gave me part of yourself. Now you can give them hope." Her small hands reached for his. The moment she touched him, warmth spread through his body again. His veins glowed faint blue, the light growing stronger. The outpost systems came alive, the old monitors flashing, the reactor humming, the AI voice awakening. Orion mainframe, reactivation sequence initiated. Memory recovery protocol unlocked. Marcus looked around as hundreds of lights flickered across the walls. Data streams appeared like rivers of light inside them. Faint figures began to form, shadows of children, of alien and human shapes mixed together. They were the others, the forgotten hybrids erased by the command centuries ago. Eliara smiled faintly, tears in her silver eyes. "They were waiting for you, Daddy." Marcus's voice broke. "I don't know if I can do this," she whispered. "You already are." Her glow brightened, her body turning more transparent. Marcus shook his head. "No, not again. You can't fade again? She smiled sadly. When they wake, I'll be everywhere. Not just here. The walls shimmered, and one by one, the blue lights shaped into forms, small, young, innocent voices filled the air. Soft laughter. Whispers calling out his name, Daddy. You came back. Marcus fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. His chest felt full of both joy and pain. He looked up at her. Eliara, what happens now? She stepped closer, touching his cheek one last time. Now you live. For all of us. Her glow became blinding, her body turning into pure light. The others' voices joined hers. The entire room filled with brightness so warm it felt like a sunrise. Marcus closed his eyes as her voice echoed in his heart. Every morning I'll knock again, not to be let in, but to remind you to open your heart. Then silence. When Marcus opened his eyes, he was lying outside. The fog had lifted. The sky clear for the first time in years, the outpost was silent, but the ground beneath it hummed gently like a heartbeat. He stood slowly, looking at the door, and there, pressed into the metal, were 3 small glowing marks shaped like fingers. He touched them softly and smiled through his tears. Good morning, Eliara, he whispered. And somewhere in the distance, carried by the wind, a faint voice replied, Good morning, Daddy. The forest glowed again, peaceful and alive. The Orion outpost, once a place of ghosts and secrets, now pulsed with light and warmth. And Marcus knew deep in his soul that he was never alone again, because every morning, even if the world forgot, the light would still come knocking,